Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, where every gear turn in the global automotive and tech world gets the deep dive it deserves. Today, we're not under the hood of a muscle car. We're zooming into a geopolitical engine failure with high-stakes repercussions. ASML, a titan of chip-making machinery, just fired up a $7 billion shipment to China. That's despite US pressure and export bans. From silicon strategy meltdowns to Europe's shifting loyalties and China's roaring semiconductor revival, this saga is turbocharged with intrigue. Here's how one Dutch company could upend Washington's playbook and electrify the tech and auto industries worldwide. ASML's $7 billion power play. ASML, the Dutch heavyweight in chip-making machinery, holds a near monopoly on advanced lithography systems. Its EUV machines, each costing over $380 million, are essential for next-gen semiconductors. Under pressure from the US CHIPS Act, ASML initially halted EUV exports to China, aligning with Washington's national security stance. But in 2024, things shifted. Reuters revealed that ASML continued shipping its DUV machines, less advanced yet vital for chip production, to Chinese firms. Despite US objections, the Dutch government approved the exports, recognizing ASML as an economic cornerstone. With China making up 46% of ASML's 2023 revenue, roughly $7 billion, cutting ties overnight was deemed financially reckless. The pressure didn't stop there. ASML's first quarter earnings fell short by nearly €1 billion, with CEO Christophe Fouquet and CFO Roger Dassin citing US tariffs as a growing threat. Their response? Pass those costs on to American buyers, a move likely to ripple through the industry. Is ASML defying US orders or protecting its drivetrain? Either way, this $7 billion call could mark a pivotal moment in the race for global chip supremacy. But while ASML tries to maintain its balance, China is gaining ground, fast. China's chip comeback gains traction. The US tried to stall China's chip ambitions, but it may have hit the accelerator instead. Despite Western restrictions, China has adapted fast. SMIC, the country's top foundry, stunned the industry by producing 7 nanometers chips using only DUV machines, something once thought impossible without EUV tools. Then came Huawei's Mate 60 Pro, running on a domestically built 7 nanometers processor. That breakthrough raised eyebrows in Washington and sent shockwaves through global markets. How did China pull it off? Simple: state-fueled investment. Through its $45 billion Big Fund 2, Beijing ramped up support for chipmakers like SMIC and Yangtze Memory. At the same time, it's stockpiling ASML tools and fast-tracking domestic lithography tech, with first-generation systems expected by 2026. China's chip resurgence is turbocharged by its EV dominance. Controlling 77% of global battery output, the country is integrating high-performance chips directly into its EV ecosystem. Bloomberg projects over 10 million Chinese EV sales in 2024 alone. Far from containment, US sanctions may have fueled China's sprint toward self-sufficiency. ASML or not, China isn't just catching up, it's drafting for the lead. But while China races forward, Europe is beginning to second-guess its alignment with Washington. Before we shift into the next gear, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Piston Pundit. It helps us keep delivering the sharpest updates for gearheads, industry watchers, and tech tinkerers alike. Europe's growing rift and the push for tech independence. ASML's move to keep exporting to China didn't just upset Washington, it stirred unrest across Europe. While countries like France and Germany publicly back US restrictions, behind closed doors, EU leaders are questioning the cost of compliance. Reports reveal quiet lobbying and growing frustration from firms caught in the crossfire. Chipmakers like Infineon and ST Microelectronics argue that if US giants like Intel and AMD get export loopholes, Europe deserves the same flexibility. Why sacrifice competitiveness for alignment? This has ignited calls for strategic autonomy in Brussels. EU officials are rethinking the wisdom of tying their tech fate entirely to American policy, especially when it risks sidelining key players like ASML, a linchpin in Europe's semiconductor identity. With 47 billion euros earmarked for the European Chips Act, the EU is doubling down on domestic innovation. Recent visits from top EU officials to ASML underscore its critical role in the continent's future. Ultimately, ASML's stance may be more than a business decision. It could trigger a continental shift in economic alignment, redefining how Europe navigates a world split between US pressure and Chinese resilience. But just as Europe finds its voice, the US is turning up the heat, starting with tariffs. Tariffs, trade turbulence, and the AI crunch. With Donald Trump back in office, 2025 kicked off with aggressive tariff hikes, raising duties on Chinese imports to 145%. China hit back with 125% tariffs on US goods, dragging semiconductors and chip-making tools into the trade war crossfire. ASML felt the sting fast, missing its quarterly revenue target by nearly 1 billion euros. Meanwhile, Nvidia's ban from selling H20 AI chips to China erased billions in market value. US chipmakers could now lose over $1 billion annually, industry analysts warn. The real fuel behind this chaos? Artificial intelligence. ASML CEO Christophe Fouquet called AI the industry's growth engine, cutting access to Chinese AI demand, where Nvidia sells up to 25% of its data center chips, could stall Western dominance in the sector. ASML now faces tariffs on entire systems and service tools shipped to the US. CFO Roger Dassin made it clear, those extra costs will land on American buyers, raising prices and sparking disruption. Even with the Chips Act and Europe's 47 billion euros push, the message is clear. Tariffs are fracturing a once seamless chip supply chain at a moment when AI needs it most. And this friction is now fracturing the entire global chip grid, splitting supply chains in two. A divided grid, the future of chip power. ASML's crossroads reflects a deeper fracture in the global chip world. What was once a tightly integrated semiconductor ecosystem is now splitting into rival blocks, one led by the US, the other rising under China's banner. Industry leaders like Intel, TSMC, and Samsung are being forced to adapt. Dual-track production, one for Western-aligned markets, another for China, is no longer theoretical. It's becoming a strategic necessity as sanctions and tariffs rewrite the playbook. On the other side, China's state-backed firms are charging ahead. Huawei is rolling out AI data centers along Belt and Road routes, while SMIC and YMTC are scaling up fast. By 2026, China aims to debut its own lithography tools, potentially cutting dependence on ASML altogether. The risk? If China succeeds, ASML could lose its global edge. ING analysts warn of a potential 20% revenue drop and mass layoffs if US restrictions fully bite. Even close allies like South Korea are shifting lanes. Seoul's chip exports to China jumped 41% in early 2024. For the Netherlands, the choice is stark. Follow geopolitical orders or protect its economic engine. So where does this leave us? The decade that will redefine tech power. What started as a $7 billion shipment of chip tools has shifted into high gear, rewiring global alliances and sparking a tech power showdown. ASML's decision to supply China with key lithography machines wasn't just a business move. It ignited a transformation in how and where the world's chips are made. China's acceleration, Europe's hesitation, and the US's hardline stance are redrawing the global semiconductor map. Once a behind-the-scenes supplier, ASML is now at the epicenter of a geopolitical realignment, caught between safeguarding Europe's tech future and navigating superpower friction. So now, let's hear from you. Is ASML's $7 billion decision a bold move toward European tech independence, or a risky swerve off the global road? Can China truly maintain chip momentum without EUV tech, or are they still drafting behind the West? And will the US's tariff-heavy strategy protect innovation, or leave American companies spinning their wheels? Share your take in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay locked in with Piston Pundit, your ultimate pit stop for all things engines, economics, and industry. Thanks for watching and see you next time. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.